Hello, welcome back to my channel and welcome to our first real goals check-in video of 2025. It's obviously not the first video of me talking about my 2025 goals. I did lots of videos in December telling you all about my overarching annual goals, my Q1 goals, and my January action steps. But in this video, we are going to check in with those January action steps and talk about how they're going. It is January 22nd, the day that I'm filming. I typically film this video the second to last Wednesday of the month. I know that sounds really specific, but I do lives here on YouTube every single Wednesday. So I'm already getting ready for the day. And I always want this video to go up the first week of the month. And so for the turnaround for myself and my editor to get it done, that's when this video has to get filmed. So we are not quite done with January, but there's technically still 8 days left, and I'm gonna carry January through February 2nd. I will start my February goals that first full week of February. But we're also in the middle of moving. You may not be able to tell that from the background because all the boxes and all the stuff are over there. By the time you see this video, we will be moved into our, I don't like to call it a forever home because it's not, who knows? Nobody knows what the future's gonna hold, but for a solid amount of time home, hopefully, our new house that we bought. Okay, I am being super rambly. Let's get into talking about our goals. Even though it's only January 22nd, I feel very good about telling you where I'm at with my January action steps. And then as always, once I'm done talking about January, we will talk about February. So let's start with the one-time steps. The first one-time step for January was to finish packing. And obviously, I haven't done that. I mean, look, there's literally books behind me, but I have made lots of progress. Obviously, I have chosen, there's two versions of my planner. One is like this one that has a checkbox for progress, and one that is a bar. So if you have goals that you wanna track progress over the course of the month and you wanna be able to shade in a bar, I do offer a version like that as well. I personally like the checkbox. I like just acknowledging once I have started making progress. If I haven't finished it, that's okay. I think especially right now, if I was to have to try to gauge where on a progress bar I am unpacking, I have no idea. So I have made progress. Obviously I'm not done, but obviously this one will for sure get done before we move. I said this in my January goals video. This one might have been a little bit of a gimme because obviously we were going to have to finish packing, but I knew that this was going to be the biggest, one of, if not the biggest time suck of my time in January. And so I needed to put it on my goals. I needed it to take up space because that was going to be such a commitment. So feeling good about where we're at with packing. And once I finish filming this video in today's live, I'm gonna be able to pretty much finish up my office, which feels good. The next step on here was to start unpacking. And I also felt like this one was a gimme, but when I filmed my January goals video, we actually were moving tomorrow, January 23rd. And for a handful of different reasons, we pushed our move back a week to next Thursday, January 30th. And so when we were moving the 23rd, obviously I was gonna unpack something. I was going to unpack a box before the end of the month, but once again, was going to be a time commitment. Now, maybe not. I assume I'm going to unpack something. We're moving on a Thursday, especially because my dad's actually coming to town that weekend to help us hang stuff and whatnot. So I do also feel like this is probably still a gimme, but maybe not quite as, if I was ending January on the 31st, maybe not. The next one though may or may not happen. I have not put it on February's list. And so if it doesn't happen, I will just add it to a to-do list somewhere, and I'm okay with that. So that is to order my new desk. I do not have an office in our new house, which is totally fine. Most of the time that is not going to be a problem. And I'm going to have a desk in our bedroom. The bedroom, the primary bedroom is giant and there's definitely space, but I want to get our bed and nightstands and dresser in there and get them set where I want them and then decide how big of a desk I want to get. I could do the measuring. There was, oh my gosh, y'all, when I first moved to New York, my very first apartment, I definitely got over this quickly and I never did it for another apartment. I actually created a 2-scale floor plan of my apartment and then 2-scale little pieces of furniture and moved them around. I could have totally done that and played around with it, but I think I need to be in the space. One of the big hesitations is centering the bed on the main wall. I think there is room to have the dresser and to have the bed off center, and that would give me more space for a desk. But will that drive me crazy that the bed's not centered? I don't know. So I want to get the furniture in there before I order the desk. With moving on the 30th, am I going to sit down and look at desks before the end of the month? I I don't know. Maybe that's why I didn't immediately move it over to February. Now, what I could have done is moved it over to February, and that would have been an easy check mark if I did end up doing it in January. I decided not to. So hopefully I'm going to get to that, but if I don't, that's okay. The next one-time step I did go ahead and cross off, and that was to do Lila's shadow box. And I think I just wanted maybe a little bit of a creative outlet in January, but also to be able to have that, move that piece already done so that I could hang it up quicker. I'm planning something fun for her wall in her new room that includes the shadow box. And I was like, you know what? You're not going to hang that stuff up on the first day anyway. So just go ahead and carry that one over to February. The next one-time step was to make a playlist, and I did that pretty early on in the month so that I was able to enjoy it. I think I said this on a live maybe. One of the things I do on the lives is I share this page with you on a weekly basis. So if you want to see a weekly update on my goals, check out the YouTube lives every week. I don't know if I love my New Year playlist. I think I was trying too hard to be like, New Year, fresh start, motivation kind of playlist, as opposed to just like picking songs that I felt like I wanted to listen to. I was trying way too hard to lean into the whole seasons thing, and I don't know that I necessarily needed to do that, but I have been listening to the playlist. We'll talk more about like listening to music daily when we get to the daily steps, but I have been listening to it and enjoying it. The next one-time step was to go out and play in the snow, and I'm a little bit disappointed in myself. When I set this one-time step, I acknowledged that like this one is both in and out of my control, right? It may not snow in January. And the step was that if it did snow, I wanted to go out and play in it. It snowed kind of twice here. And one time it was, by the time there was enough snow to like go out and play, it was already dark outside. So that one didn't really work. The next one, it just felt like it was too cold. Now, for me, I could have bundled up and gone out and played in the snow, but I really wanted to go out and play with Lila. And we just didn't, because we live in a city, I feel like I'm gonna way over explain this, but here we go. It is hard for us to go play in the snow and then have a quick turnaround to get into somewhere warm and like take off our wet clothes, right? We don't have a yard. We don't have we have parks, but they're walking distance. And so it not only requires us to bundle up and like play in the snow, but then get home in order to get warm. And the temperature just never felt right for me to be able to do that with Lila. And so I don't know, I did not carry this over into February. If it snows in February and the temperature is right, maybe we will do it. We don't have a yard, but we have kind of we have an outdoor space in this place, but it is covered by the apartment above us. So sometimes there's snow down here, but it's kind of gross. So in our new house, we do have an outdoor space. So if it does snow, it does make it easier. Now, because we already got so much snow in January, I don't know if we're gonna get snow in February. Again, I feel like I way over-explained that. So no, I did not do that. No, I don't anticipate doing that before the end of the month. All right, moving on to the weekly steps. So the first one was to do 30 minutes of creative time. And this one has been going really well. All it pretty much looks like is coloring in my coloring books. I talked about those in a vlog. I don't know. You may not consider that creative. For me, it's not looking at a screen, and that is enough creativity for me. And so that one has been going really well, and I feel good about that. It has, most of the time it's been one long session. One of the weeks it was like multiple little sessions that added up, and I'm just tracking that in the Habit app I use on my phone that's literally just called Habit, and that has been going well. The next weekly step was to work out 3 times, and the first week started out strong, did it. Second week I woke up with like the worst back pain, like, you know, when you sleep funny and then you like can't turn your neck, you have like a pain. It was bad, and it did not go away for a while. So weeks 2 and 3 were both impacted by that, because I just feel like I could hardly like function, let alone work out. And this week I'm back on track to doing 3. So that feels good. Let's move into the daily steps. So the first one was to pack every day. And I knew when I set this daily step up that I wasn't going to do it every single day. And that was not the goal. The goal was just to keep it at the forefront of my mind. And did I need to put it there to keep it at the forefront? No, like all the boxes everywhere and like knowing that we're moving keeps it there. But I will say, I think there were days that I was like, I don't really feel like packing anything today. And I would encourage myself to do 1 box, and then I would get the check mark. And so I think there were days that were like that. And that makes it worth it. That makes worth putting it down. Technically, according to the check marks, I only did it 9 of the last 21 days, right? Like I didn't even hit half. But as of the recording of this video, I am at 22 boxes. So I've averaged more than 1 box a day. So that feels really good. I yesterday had a little bit of a breakdown with like, oh my gosh, how are we gonna get all this packing done? But now I feel like I'm a little bit back on track and we're gonna get it done. I mean, it has to get done. So all in all, I'm glad I put that on my goal sheet. If anything, similar to the finish packing one, just to acknowledge that this is a big chunk of my free time right now. The next one was to listen to music every day. And I'm so glad that I put this on my goal sheet. And if my daughter's Tony box counts, if you don't know what it is, it's like this little music box that kids put characters on and then it plays music and stories. If that counts, I did it every single day. My daughter loves her little Tony's box. We listen to that literally every day. I did not count that, but I counted anytime I played music on my phone, and I did it 17 of 21 days, so about 80% of the time, which feels really good. I'm gonna change something about this in February because I do think that a lot of those days, not all of them, but a lot of those days is me playing music while Lila and I have breakfast in the morning. And not that that's a bad thing. I love that we have music on and that we have little dance parties in the kitchen. Like, it makes me so happy. That was not the goal of this action step. This action step was for me to listen to music instead of like watching Gossip Girl for the 800th time while I'm doing something mindless. It's like that kind of thing, especially, well, while packing, I've been listening more to podcasts and audiobooks, but that's what it was more about. So you'll see how I changed that up in February. The next goal was to drink 3 things of water. So this is how I track my water in vessels. I always recommend tracking your water in actual containers, not ounces. Ounces are so hard. It's so hard. It is so much easier to say, I'm gonna drink 1 of these or 1.5. We do not need to be super exact, okay? We do need water, and we all probably need a little bit more water, but trying to measure it with ounces is really difficult. So my goal is to drink 3 of these per day. I have had that goal since like last summer. I think I had it in Q3. I don't really remember. I know I had it in Q4 because it was part of my 100-day challenge, and I was not doing a great job of it. October, November, December, I was hitting it about 50% of the time. In January, I did it 15 days, which is 71%. That's a big improvement over what I was doing in December. So I feel really good about this and continuing to focus on it, obviously. And then the last one-time step was to eat 1 vegetable. And I know some of you in the comments probably thought it was hilarious and silly, and I can't believe you had to write that down. And some of you were like, I totally get you, vegetables are so hard. I really appreciate those of you reminding me that like an onion is a vegetable. I love an onion, and I use it in pretty much any recipe that I make. But to me, I'm not eating enough of the onion to satisfy a serving, if you know what I mean. So this was really about like a serving of vegetables, and just like the music, I did it 17 days, so about 80%, and I consistently have hit 5 a week, 5 vegetables a week. So I'm gonna add something in February that you'll see to kind of push me a little bit more. But honestly, I feel really good about that, especially with like the travel that we've been doing and eating out that we've been doing since we've been packing. And so that feels really good. All in all, given everything that we had in January, coming off of sickness as a family, renovations, moving, a trip, etc., I'm super proud of the progress that I made in January and excited to carry that momentum into February. So let's talk about my February action steps. Like I said, I start the new months on a Monday. I don't care what the date on the calendar is. Sometimes it's the 3rd, like it's gonna be in February. Sometimes it's the 29th of the month before. But I just like to start my new goals on a Monday. So I'm technically not starting these until February 3rd, which we will be fully moved into our new home by then, which is insane. So the first one-time step on this is ambitious. It definitely is, I think, ambitious, especially given, so I had planned out my goals before that little like somewhat meltdown I had about packing yesterday. So the one-time step, let me tell you, is to finish unpacking. And in an ideal world, I'm done unpacking by February. But if I'm being totally honest, my secret goal is by March 8th, which is when we're leaving to go on a vacation. That's my goal, is to be done packing by March 8th. I may, in fact, like kind of get funky with my March goals and do them before our trip and after our trip. I may even use that as my quarterly cutoff. I haven't quite decided on that yet. Yeah, I probably would have benefited from thinking about that and making this like February through March 8th. But for now, that's my goal, is to finish unpacking by then. The other reason that this is a little ambitious is I have gotten to the state, and I'm gonna talk more about this in the vlog I'm filming today that you'll see next week. I've gotten to the state of packing where I'm not worrying about decluttering anymore. I'm just packing, which means I'm probably gonna wanna do a little bit of decluttering when I'm unpacking. And so that may make unpacking take a little bit longer. So if I don't finish unpacking in February, that's okay. Again, going to be a big focus of February and take up a lot of time. And so it's at the top of the list. The next one-time step in February is to update the project list for the house. We have all the little things that had to get done before we moved in. I say little, like we needed a new front door. That, not very little, but like that had to get done. All those things are either done or on their way to being done. Then we have like the big renovation projects that we want to do. I talked about those in a video during Vlogmas, all the projects that we're going to do in our house. There's also a lot of little projects, like change out the drawer pulls and the handles in the kitchen, like little things like that. I want to get that list going of those little things that I want to do that are either little in terms of time or expense, and just get that list out of my head in February. That's the goal. The next one-time step is to create a vision board. I talked about this at length with my community. I miss having a vision board. I haven't made one for 2 years now. I did them in 20, did I make one in 20? No, yeah. Well, I guess I had one in 22 and 23. I didn't make one for 2024, and I haven't made one yet for 2025 because going along with the whole desk saga, I need to figure out what my desk looks like and what my like wall space looks like. But then I also don't know if I want to clutter the wall space above my desk the way that I do now, because that's also our bedroom. But I think that's where my vision board needs to go. We also have a walk-in closet now, so I also thought maybe the vision board could go in there. I don't know yet. Step one is going to be to figure out where the vision board goes. This is definitely one of those one-time steps that's going to need to be broken down further, right? So step one is figure out where it goes. Step two, order the frame or whatever I'm going to use to create my vision board. Step three is like the pre-planning of like printing out pictures and what it's going to look like. And then step four is actually putting it together. So that one is going to take a little bit more time to execute. The next one-time step is a straight carryover from January, and that is to do Lila's birthday shadow box. The next 3 one-time steps are all related to that embracing winter, making winter wonderful is what I called it. So the first one is to get some fresh flowers. I feel like winter starts to feel, and this, although this might be a goal in other months, in other quarters too, other seasons, but for now, I think it will really help winter. I think it will help winter feel more fresh and more exciting and not quite so drab. We also are moving much closer to a Trader Joe's, which has really good value on flowers. So that is one of my goals for February, is to buy fresh flowers at least once. The next one-time step related to the winter season is to use our fireplace. Our new house has a wood burning fireplace, and I want to use that. As I said that out loud, there's a step that has to happen before we can actually use that. I mean, we have to buy firewood and figure out how to use it. So that one may or may not happen, but I would really, really love to make that happen in February. And then the last one-time step is to have a cozy movie night. I feel like one of the things about winter is spending time inside and enjoying time inside. And so I want to set aside a time, maybe as a family, but I think at this age, probably more so just me and Sam, and to do like a cozy movie night, get like a special treat, cuddle up on the couch with a blanket in our new house, and just have a cozy movie night. The last one-time step is related to my physical health goal, and that is to finish the strength program that I'm doing. I will also talk about this more in the vlog coming next week that I'm literally filming today. And I'm currently going through a strength program that has like, I didn't shut the door, so we have a cat, sorry. Where was I? It is a 6-week program that I started with 2 weeks left in January. So it should end perfectly at the end of February. And so that one, as long as I do the actual workouts, which is in the weekly section, just like it was in January, then this should be a relatively easy check mark. Moving on to the weekly steps. So because 30 minutes of creative time went so well and I don't have a deadline to finish packing, I decided to increase this goal a little bit. Now, originally I was going to increase it to an hour, and I thought that's a lot. That's doubling it. Let's let's bring it down a little bit and let's increase it just a little bit more and see how it goes. So I increased it to 45 minutes. Just your reminder that you, first off, don't always have to increase things. Just because you hit your goals doesn't mean you have to make it bigger. But if you do want to make it bigger, you do not have to jump to the next like pretty number, right? I mean, 45 minutes is still a pretty number, but you don't have to immediately go from like 30 minutes to 60 minutes because that is still a huge jump. The next 3 weekly steps are just like it was in January, and that is to do the 3 workouts. This time it is part of that program, which like I said, I will finish if I stay on top of it. And then the last weekly step is new, and it is an extension of the January daily step of getting in my vegetables. You may have heard me talk about this concept before as it pertains to steps. So one of the options, if there is something that you want to do daily, but you are not quite at hitting it every single day, is to make it a weekly goal where you're going to average that amount per day. And I talk about this a lot with steps because people talk a lot about 10,000 steps per day, which, side tangent, if you've never heard me rant on this before, 10,000 steps was actually created by a pedometer company. The data and the science actually shows that 7,000 to 8,000 steps a day is where you get the most improvement in your health. And so if you are averaging 7,000 to 8,000 steps per day, that's awesome. But let's stick with 10,000 because that's what people always talk about and it's pretty numbers. So you could set a goal to hit 10,000 steps per day. But my guess is you probably have days where that's harder to do, whether it's because of your schedule or your energy levels, whatever it is, it's harder to hit 10,000 steps. So instead, you set a goal to hit an average of 70,000 steps over the course of the week. That allows you to have some days that you may hit below 10,000 steps because it was a busy day at work and you were sitting in meetings all day. But then you go for a really long walk over the weekend where you hit 15,000 steps and it averages out to 10. That is how I've always tackled step goals when I've had them in the past. And so I'm applying that same concept to vegetables. So my goal is, if the daily section was and is to do 1 per day. But as you saw in January, I did about 5 over the course of the week. Some of those days, I probably did more than 1. In fact, I can think of at least one day where I definitely had a serving at lunch and at dinner. And so I am setting a goal in February to do 7 servings over the course of the week. Now I'm still keeping that daily goal of doing 1 per day, but even if I miss a day, I could still hit my 7 for the week by doubling up on another day. So that is what I'm tackling in February. I'm excited to extend that thought, that concept to the week 2 vegetables and see how it goes. And I'll let you know. Okay, moving on to daily steps. So the first one is the music related goal. And the tweak that I'm making to this is listening to music alone. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not going to listen to music with Lila in the morning when we have breakfast. It just means that it's not going to count towards my music goal for February. My goal is to do it at some point, whether it's while I'm unpacking or working or walking or something by myself, I'm listening to music instead of something else. And then the only new daily step, and I have recommended this to you a number of times, but in case you need to hear it again, I do not recommend more than 1 brand new daily step per month. That has always been my suggestion, and I have found it to be true for myself and for others that I have worked with, that when you try to do more than 1 new habit in a month, you lump them together and you end up having this all or nothing mindset where you either do all the new habits or none of the new habits. And so my recommendation is to only do 1 brand new habit per month. So my 1 new habit for February is not even actually a new habit. It's just kind of tracking. And that is to get a certain quality of sleep score. So I wear an Oura Ring. I've talked about this before. I included it in a favorites video years ago when I first got it. I got it right after Lila was born. And it really helped me during that postpartum time to remind myself that like, my readiness and my sleep scores were so low, like it's okay to take a break and to rest. I mean, you don't need a ring to remind you to rest in postpartum, but like some of us type A goal getters, like it's tough. It's tough to rest. Anyways, I love my Oura Ring, especially for tracking sleep. I don't like to sleep in my Apple Watch. In fact, I don't even really wear my Apple Watch anymore. I just track all my fitness and all my things on my ring. And so my goal in February is to get a certain sleep score every night. And that is somewhat within my control and somewhat not in my control, right? So there are a lot of factors. I think there's like, I don't know, 7 or 8 different things that go into your quality of sleep. And some of those I am in control of, and some of them well, I mean, I'm in control of all of them, but some of them I can directly control, like the amount of time. Sometimes deep sleep, I am surprised like why some nights I have it and some nights I don't. There are things I know that impact that, right? The amount of caffeine, how late I have caffeine, having alcohol, the amount of alcohol, how close to bed I have that alcohol. I know that those things all impact my sleep, and obviously the amount of time in bed. I can control all those things. So my goal is just to be more mindful of those things, and it's not gonna be perfect. I'm not gonna hit it every single night, and I know that, but if I can be a little bit thoughtful and prioritize my sleep in February, that is a health goal of mine. The last 2 daily steps are exactly the same as they were in January, and that's hit my water goal and 1 vegetable a day. So that is the plan for February. I'm looking at it like that's a lot of things down on paper. Now, I personally don't have any major things happening in February minus needing to unpack. I'm not going anywhere. Like there's nothing big happening in a lot of places, but my husband is going out of town and my mom, who helps a lot with my daughter, is going out of town. So, and she's gonna be gone for a long time. So that is gonna impact some things, but I think this is all still very reasonable, and I'm looking forward to February. So if you made it all the way to the end of this video, please comment below with a music note emoji, since we talked a lot about music in this video. And if you are interested in sharing, I would love to hear about your goals. Please comment with 1 goal or action step that you have for February that you are super excited about. I would love to hear about it. And as always, the planner pages that I use, this is my goal planner that I have created. That is my baby. I created it because I wanted it, but it is also available to you. It is not too late to set goals for 2025. So check out my goal planner if you're interested. It is always linked down below. And that's gonna be it. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, please click that subscribe button. I upload new videos every week focused on helping you achieve your goals. Thank you so much for watching. 25, always, 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 not always. That was really a lot, Laken. Kind of, that sounded funny. Let me say it again. Let me let that truck finish making his noise. Made in February, or that was wrong.